I think it might help if we give our brief feelings about the previous films. So I'll go ahead and just run through it. I consider the original film and its original sequel, the Holiday Special, to be two classics that are, worthy of our praise and consideration. And also, the second theatrical sequel, The Empire Strikes Back, I consider to be the epitome of the series. I'm not so fond of the prequels. I think that there's quite a bit of good in The Phantom Menace, but I think that there was a really bad decision made to focus too much of the film on the character of Qui-Gon Jinn, who ends up having no major repercussions for the rest of the series. It would have been much stronger if they would have stayed more faithful to the original idea of having Obi-Wan Kenobi be the one to find Anakin Skywalker. The next two films I'm not particularly fond of, because too much of Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith just look like a 90s Wing Commander video game with people just standing in front of green screens with PlayStation 2 games playing behind them, and I just really can't even get into them enough to really enjoy them, although I do appreciate Ewan McGregor's performance as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, when it comes to The Force Awakens, I was very happily surprised to find that it was a return to form. It was easily the best Star Wars film since The Empire Strikes Back. It was something that helped to make the number of good Star Wars films start to feel closer again to the number of not-so-good Star Wars films. Of course, if you count the Ewok TV movies from the 80s, it's hopeless, they'll never catch up. But I felt that it was a nice return to form, even if it followed the beats of the original film maybe a little too close. What really made it work was what made the original two films work, which was characterization. Lawrence Kasdan's work on that script really helped to elevate it. Meanwhile, with the latest prequel that came out, Rogue One, I found it to be technically appealing. It looked nice, but the characters were, what's the word for it, utterly boring, I think is the word I'm looking for. And with the exception of the wisecracking robot. And Donnie Yen was fine in it too, in his small part, but for the most part I just didn't care what was happening to the characters. I already knew what was going to happen. It was obvious that, one, they were obviously going to get the plans for the Death Star because it's a prequel, and two, they were all going to die because it's a prequel. And so all I really had to go for was whether or not I liked the characters. I didn't, therefore I didn't really like the movie.